Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and let's chat about what is happening up in the stars for the week ahead. It is Monday, and it is the beginning of a very Uranus type of week. I've already been the recipient of 2 Uranus moments this morning, and I'm not very happy about them, but what can we do, right? We have to just go with the flow sometimes. And this morning it was several of those kinds of things, and it's driving me crazy. So hopefully everybody is having a good day so far. And let's take a look at some of the information for the week. J-Lo, good morning. Elisa, good morning. Camilla, good morning. And Tati, Jackie, Debbie Tibbetts-Tumiel, and Amanda Jeffs. I'm so glad to see all of you. Hopefully you all had a great weekend. Amanda, there you are. Or Amy, there you are. Good morning. And I love all the little emojis, the hearts, the flowers, the balloons. I love it. Joshua, good morning to you. And anyway, so let's take a look down the week, shall we? Let's start today with the moon in Taurus. And I swear to God, it must be in a conjunction to Uranus right now, because two things already this morning that have just triggered my rebellion. Actually, let's call it that. My rebellious side and my rebellious nature has been triggered, but they were also things that were unexpected that I didn't see coming. So, you just got to go with the flow. On top of that, today, our moon in Taurus is in a square to Mercury. And that is an issue a bit that adds emotion to a Mercury square Uranus transit for the day. So we have the potential for some upsets, for some, shaking up, for literally your mind being dumped out and started over. And in some cases, some really good flashes of insight. But it is the emotional component of it all that can be the source of the feelings that you are having around some of the changes that may be going on. So today we'll look at the moon in Taurus. We have Taurus as the ruler of wealth and money, the banking system, our income, material possessions, and all of the resources that you have that you can bring to bear in your life. Pardon me. Taurus is also a sign about the self, valuing the self. So where Aries rules the body, the physical being, Taurus really rules the value we place upon ourselves. So we have to have strong boundaries during a moon in Taurus, or we'll discover where it is we do not have strong boundaries. And we may also be prompted to use our gifts and our talents in a different way, or to bring out more of what it is that you're here to share with everybody, not allowing yourself to just play around with those things anymore, but to really bring it out, get clarity around it, make changes that are necessary, and jump into the world with both feet. How about this? The whole body into the world, sharing your gifts and your talents. Taurus is a sign of sensuality. It rules the feelings in the body. So the body pleasures, we could call it, or the comfort for the body. And that includes the 5 senses. So taste, smell, touch, hearing, sight, all of those senses coming together in a way that allows us to really feel our way through our environment. So these are really the touchy-feely energies, the signs, the emotions attached with affection and with the idea of being loved and loving. As well, contentment comes through Taurus energy. It is the contentment that we feel when we are fed, right? We are clothed, we're warm, or we're cool, or comfortable in our own skin. We are around people that we love, or that love and trust us, and that we love and trust in return. It's that comfort feeling. So Taurus moon wants that comfort, wants to feel good about where they are. And appreciation for the natural world, also a part of the Taurus experience. Satisfaction, gratitude, another big one, gratitude. And we have to watch out for a couple of things as usual, right? Every sign has its positive and its negative. And in Taurus, we might have a tendency to get rigid or to feel sluggish. I'm feeling a little bit of that sluggishness this morning myself. Watch out for stagnating energy. Where have you been stuck? Where are you not moving ahead? Where are things not circulating? Because that's this is a circulation kind of energy. So keeping circulation, right? Gratitude is a magnet that brings more of the things that you love, want, or are in resonance with. And then gratitude for those, it brings more. And the more you get, the more you give. And giving also acts as a magnet to bring you more. It goes round and round. So in Taurus, we really learn the concept of the flow of resources, and that might be time, it might be people, it might be money, it might be other kinds of resources that you have that we are giving and of sharing with others as well as receiving from others. In the body, the neck, the throat, the thyroid, all part of Taurus energy. So if you're noticing sluggishness on a long-term sort of thing, maybe checking out your thyroid because it is also ruled by the sign of Taurus. Now let's talk about Mercury squaring Uranus, because that's the other big news of the day today. This is about pure flashes of insight, those things that happen that make you go, whoa, I get it. Seeing things in their proper perspective, or having opportunities that land in your lap, or taking the steps necessary to encompass something new or something in a wider range of ways that you can share of yourself, sharing of your gifts and your talents. Remember, Mercury's in Leo now, and Uranus is in Taurus. These are both fixed signs. And it's a possibility that things that you've been hesitant to shake up or hesitant to let go of, hesitant to change, are being shook up, are being changed, are being turned upside down today. New ideas may also be a part of the energy of the day as we see things in a different way. Perhaps we are opening up our minds. That might be difficult considering we still have our head and our ajna connected via the 6124 in your human design, right? From the middle of the head down to the middle of the ajna. But watching for new ideas to be prompted, right? There may be comments that you hear from other people, something in your mind that triggers a change, and you're opening up then to more and more. But we do have to watch for impatience and a little bit of impulsivity. There isn't a huge amount of impulsive. It's not like Mars impulsive. It's more like Taurus, where you've resisted change for a while. Even though it's been telling you, you've been seeing signs that you know that it's not quite the right thing to do or the right timing, but you push your way into, you either pushed your way into something or you've been hesitant to do that. And today may provide the impetus for you to actually jump in and make those changes. So not a bad day, just a day, it could be upsetting. Some of the things that I changed up this morning might not be upsetting to me, but they might be upsetting to other people involved. And is it my responsibility? No, I had to go with what I know to be the right thing for me to do. And I think that's the position that we may all be in. And the rub that you're feeling inside, right? That feeling of conflict that you may be feeling inside is because likely you've gotten stuck in something. And it takes a lot of energy sometimes to move out of that stagnant pattern or that place where you've been stuck. And today we have that opportunity to see, oh, this is what the universe has been calling me to do, move on, right? So being able to do that is priceless as well. Let's take a look ahead at what this week looks like. So we have today probably a high energy day, lots of changes, perhaps things that come up out of the blue, things that you must deal with. And then tomorrow and the next day, Tuesday, Wednesday, pretty decent days. Thursday, we start having some Mars fun. Mars, right, in Aries, coming into the first of the big squares with Pluto. And that will be on Thursday, the 13th. And the moon will be in Gemini that day. So we'll be in a little bit better mood as far as change is concerned. We'll be feeling emotionally a little more adaptable, that, we're open to some change. But that square with Pluto may take us into the dark. It may take us into the void. It may take us into the transformation that must be taken care of in our lives. And the moon that day also squaring Neptune. And that might mean some of it is not clear what we're doing, why it's happening, why we're going where we're going. But we just have to go with that flow. And that transformational energy can be disruptive, but also powerful. We're dealing with power struggles and dealing with how do we personally move through the conflict, and how do we personally move through all of the crazies that are all the crazy energy that is happening on the planet. And then Friday, the moon will transit out of Gemini into Cancer. And there's that particular day doesn't seem too bad. Even the moon is, even though the moon will be moving into Cancer, which will then oppose those Capricorn planets and square the Aries planets, that day doesn't seem too big. It will be the weekend, the 15th and the 16th, where things can get a little crazy as Uranus turns retrograde on Saturday, and the moon will conjunct Venus that day and also sextile Uranus. So the moon is engaged. That means our emotional self is engaged with Uranus's change. And when Uranus turns retrograde, and he'll be retrograde from August 15th until January 12th, I think it was, or 6th, something like that. So for the rest of the year. And that means that there's a lot of changing on the inner dimensions that are happening for all of us. And even in the unseen realms, it looks like when Uranus turns retrograde, a lot of the change goes on within our own thinking processes or in our own processing of change. So where the outer world has been sort of the looking mad, looking crazy, we've got to look to our inner dimensions now to discover where that is going on within us so that we can disrupt that pattern or change the pattern. So we're preparing our inner world for the eventual changes that Uranus will bring to us as we move into January. And it'll be interesting in January and February, March, because then we'll have Saturn and Jupiter both in Aquarius, and they will be coming up to square Uranus. And Uranus will have retrograded closer to 3 or 4 degrees, I believe it is, 4 degrees. And the Saturn Jupiter conjunction at 0 degrees will be triggering Uranus. And so just as he's about to change in the first part of the year, we're also going to have change going on so these are things that are, of course, way down the line. But given the nature of the world that we live in right now, isn't it nice to sort of know ahead of time that a very powerful square between Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in January is going to lead us to a square to those planets in turn to the planet Uranus, and as Uranus changes direction. So yay for us. We'll have some surprises. I wonder how that affects, I think, that puts us in the same time as around the inauguration of the president, whoever that will be here in the US, and that might bode for some surprises in that world for us as well. And of course, that kind of takes the Uranus turning retrograde this weekend also sort of bleeds over into Sunday, where the sun will be in a trine to Mars and Mercury will be in a trine to Mars. And as we move into the next week, Mercury and the sun will be into a conjunction. So that's why these two are so tight over the weekend. So there could be new messages coming in, surprise announcements, some very interesting energies, I think, in terms of what actions are coming up in the outer world. And of course, that next week, we're preparing as well for the sun to move out of Leo and into Virgo. So it'll be an interesting week next week, all kind of sitting at the pivot point of this particular weekend. So we're just looking ahead right now at what the week may bring. We have a lot of days in between, though, right? We have at least 4 days. Today may be a little bit of a crazy day. Maybe you're getting some really great ideas. Maybe some, pathways are opening up for you that you didn't expect. And that's always a fun sort of thing to deal with. We have the new moon next week as well. So it could be something that you are in the process of completing this week so that you can begin again with the new moon next week. So lots going on, kind of batting cleanup this week, but with some surprises thrown in that I think we might not be expecting. So let's take a look. I'm going to go back over to YouTube here real quickly, see if people have questions or how everything's going out here. Debbie Tibbetts, happy birthday, Josh. Just lunar, Debbie. March for my solar return, but it makes me warm and fuzzy. Lunar return. I love it. Well, happy lunar return to you, Joshua. And Natasha, may there be blessings with your new birthday doorway, Joshua. I love it. Every month we all have a lunar return, which is your sort of, you know, you could say it's your lunar birthday, and that would be when the moon moves across the same place the moon is in your natal chart, and it gives you a new charge, right? A bump up in your energy, perhaps a new pathway for new emotions, dealing with whatever it is that's come up in your world over the previous month. And it's kind of fun to have that lunar return. So looking at, I was dealing with so many things in behind the scenes this morning, I didn't really get to finish planning my day. Let's take a look at human design for this week. We are looking at the 11th. The gate will change to the gate 4. The sun will be in the gate of answers. Looking at the gate 4, it sits on the ajna and it's moving up toward the head center. It is the gate of mental answers. I think it's the gate where whatever question is asked of you, you have an answer for. And then here's where the tricky part is going to be for the rest of the week, is that as we move into tomorrow, the earth will be at the gate 49, which is a gate that sits on the emotional center leading down toward the root center. The gate 49 meets up with the gate 19. And the gate 49 is called the gate of revolution. It is a very Uranus feel to it, in that it feels very, it's about change that leads us to revolution. It can be, usually we think of it as an emotional energy that connects us to food, for caring for one another, for being able to share of the bounty, being sensitive to the needs of what people want or desire. And the gate 49 will, certainly be something that, shakes us awake a little bit. And I think also it smooths the way, it creates that pathway for us all to create change in our lives. Rather than just coming up with the mind's answers to situations, this will be really the ability to make change from the ground up. And that may feel a little revolutionary to some of you who maybe have felt stuck for a while, or who have, been questioning, where do I go? What do I do? Who do I do it with? When do I do it? So all of those questions can get answered, and maybe with a little bit of impatience and revolutionary energy that sort of wants to bust out. But remember your type and your strategy and your authority, and that will help you be in the right place when it is time for you to make the big decisions in your life. And if only I remembered that when I made decisions in my life, I would be happier, I think. Let's see, today we also have, or this week, we also have a change coming in. Well, it actually already began. We had a change on Friday with Mars into the gate 42, which is interesting too, because that is a gate of completion, celebration at the end of something. So we're coming to the end of something here with Mars, and he will be at that gate all the way through the 24th of the month. And then he moves into a gate of chaos and craziness. So Mars is still, preparing for his retrograde next month. He'll turn retrograde. So we're still working with the setup to some of the biggest changes that will occur in the next couple of months. Should be an interesting one. Let's look at our Pleiadian-Earth energy. I didn't even get a chance to look at that, but we are moving into the last few days of that particular cycle. Today we are at today's the 10th. Yes. So we are at 11 feeling. No wonder I'm feeling emotional today. It's feeling energy. Feeling in the Mayan calendar was Muluk, and Muluk was a representation of water and how water flows and it retains memory and it holds on to emotional energy. And the 11 is about illumination, turning the lights on, being able to see what's out there and to see things that you haven't been able to see before, or to see things in new ways, with a new energy, sort of allowing that to come in as well. The 11 energy gives us that opportunity to let go of the old as well, to be illuminated in a new way of being, a new way of doing something. Now, that means we are 2 days away from the changeover, the ascension, if you will, out of the week where we began with one catalyzing, right? Catalyzing energy was our umbrella energy for the 13-day period of time where we were catalyzing change, where something was being started within us, triggered within us. Tomorrow we go to devoting. Thursday or Wednesday, excuse me, we go to the 13 illuminating. So the ascension by the light being turned on. So this week has a lot of light in it as well. And then we go into the one on Thursday, which will be about choosing energy. One choosing becomes our umbrella energy for that next 13-day round. Now, as well, this week, we are entering into a new phase of Venus. Now, Venus in this particular phase was called the surrender and discover phase. If you have your copy of the Pleiadian-Earth calendar this way, then you'll see that on Friday, there's a yellow star. That yellow star tells you that Venus is ready to move into her next level. And that means, I believe, that she is reaching into her greatest elongation away from the sun at this point in time. Shining her brightest is the morning star. And then she will go through this phase of surrendering and also sort of discovering what's next. And then she'll go into, I think she spends like 60 days in this particular phase. You see, yes, she's in that phase until, holy cow, yeah, she doesn't change phases again. She's in the longest part of her phase for a while, through maybe the end of the year even. We also have another thing to look forward to coming up in September. So just sort of a heads up, a collective shadow phase. And that will occur during Mars's retrograde, like 8 days after Mars goes retrograde. And it'll happen at 10 remembering. And the collective shadow phase means that we're all having to deal with our shadows, the collective shadows. And later in September, we end up in the Earth with the sun being starting the gates of fear, or the gates of the spleen that trigger our intuitive, instinctual survival types of energies. So we have a lot that we're merging through in August. It's sort of like clear out everything you can through this month, because next month is really going to be some high energy and some, big things that we're going to have to work through. All right. What else can I talk about this morning? That is really about it. Week 349, Uranus retrograde. I didn't speak to what gate he would be at. He will be at the gate 24 in his retrograde cycle. The gate 24 sits up on the ajna, heading up toward the gate of psychosis, gate 61, which in its highest and best is really about awe and wonder and magic, and just leaning into the magical wonder of the world. But the gate 24, sometimes it wants to rationalize everything, wants to put everything in its proper place, categorizing, rationalizing, making sense of. With Uranus there may not be a whole lot of good sense to come by. And that's because nothing really makes sense in the grand scheme of things right now. So letting go of rationalization of why someone is doing what they're doing, of why you should or shouldn't do something that you're doing, of why one theory is correct when another isn't. All of that needs to be let go of with Uranus turning retrograde, spending an exorbitant amount of time at this particular gate, by the way, undoing us. And in the gene keys, when we look at the gate 24, the lowest expression of this energy is addiction. The invention being the gift, and silence, shutting off the mind, is the highest expression. Good stuff, right? And let's see what else. That's it. I'm done. I am done for this morning. I'm going to draw us a couple of cards because I want to set the tone for the week with animals. And I think we'll pull a 7 energies card. So let's look at our animal card for the week. And this will be an animal to help guide us as a collective, to give us wisdom as we move forward through this particular week. Need to clear out my own stuff here. Ooh, wisdom. Ooh, owl spirit. Yes. You see clearly now. This is card number 43, which is a 7. So the owl is visiting us this week. I like it. Let's see what owl has to say. Okay, here, and it was up, or it was right side up when it pulled out. So that means owl spirit arrives to remind you that the wisdom within you is informed by your keen senses and the wisdom within the consciousness we all share. Even in the darkest night, the owl sees clearly and is guided by every sense it has, including the first sense of intuition. Right now, your sensitivities are turbocharged and you are receiving messages from all directions. Owl spirit reminds you to be wise and pay attention to what's between the lines, what is invisible to the naked eye, what cannot be heard with the ears, and what others may not be able to perceive. With all your senses aroused, you have much knowledge available to you. Clarity will come as you sit with all that you are sensing, allowing your intuition to guide you in understanding the whole and not just the parts. Let your wisdom arise and be your guide as you trust the acuity of all of your senses. How very Taurian. Intuition is real and can provide the clarity you need to understand your situation right now. Your relationship, your finances, your job, whatever it is, you can see the truth clearly now. Very good. And it's also worth reminding everybody that the planet Uranus also rules our nervous system in some ways. So if someone or something is on your last nerve, that can be the impetus to change and to the revolutionary energies that Uranus brings us, the change up, right? The ability to just go, I'm done, and move on. And that is also a part of our experience for the entire week, but also for today, because Mercury squaring Uranus is the mind maybe on its last nerve and making changes that might be a little bit chaotic in the beginning, but maybe in the end, end up being something really positive for you. All right, and lastly, I'm going to pull an Oracle of the 7 Energies card for the week. And this is Colette Baron Reed's newest card deck. I'm kind of loving this deck. We used it on Friday to do some readings, and they seemed pretty good. So this is for the collective for the week. Healing the Heart. Card number 23, which is a 5. Healing the Heart. And let's see what this means. 23. Okay, the key concepts in this card for all of us is healing, making amends, the willingness to release past pain, being responsible and accountable, taking time to get healthy, renewal, and rebirth after suffering. When you are wounded emotionally, you need to regroup and find your center. You may have recently endured a breakup or betrayal, lost someone close to you, or lost an affiliation that you gave too much power to. Perhaps you're watching someone go through a difficult time and feel bad that you can't help them. Maybe you're still not over a past disagreement. No matter the cause for this heartache, deep healing is called for. This happens on its own timetable and can never be rushed. The path to healing the heart centers on reciprocity, the flow of giving and receiving. Sometimes wounding occurs because we've become too dependent on another, and this is accompanied by the desire to manipulate or control an outcome. Both wounding and healing usually begin within, not from the outer conditions of our lives. We often believe we can be wounded only by others, but we do more damage to ourselves in the self-sabotaging way we think and behave. It is important to take steps to heal yourself and become willing to release the pain of the past, which can be tempting to revisit. It's time to take responsibility for your part in the healing journey. Look for ways you can help yourself and others. Are you willing to make amends if needed? Or conversely, accept someone where they are without trying to influence their growth process? Healing the heart in all aspects is your priority now. Nothing else matters. Only beauty and goodness will come as a result. That's a great card too. Good reminder. Good energy to help us get through this particular crazy week. All right, putting that deck away. And let me take one last look over here for questions. Good morning, Puffing Pixie. She says, good morning, wishing you all a great week. And Joshua says, laugh out loud. Totally. It's 2 to 3 days of warm fuzzy. J-Lo says, that means I'm going to the mountains. Have Mercury there in my design at gate 24. Woohoo! Julie, thank you. Jules, thank you very much. Funny, my daughter bought me a tiny little owl figure to add with my flowers, but my grands will take it, so I needed it. I added it to my shelf. That's awesome. From J-Lo. A Young Soul has an owl with the heart. I love it. And A Young Soul, welcome. I think you're new or somebody that is often in the background, so it's great to see you. And Adrienne says, cheers to a new week. All righty. Well, I'm sorry this is so short this morning, but like I said, my morning got co-opted by several things that needed my attention. So I will be with you tomorrow morning. Make sure you stay cool, calm, and collected today. Allow change to happen. Sometimes it doesn't feel awesome, but it leads us to some new plateaus, to new ways of being. In the long term, it is often the shakeup that leads us to the beauty, right? To the wonder and awe that is our life path and our life destiny. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.